Hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Danae Woods and I have a question for you. Have you ever found yourself in the midst of an argument or a heated discussion, but you were struggling to really listen to the other person's perspective? I certainly have. Today, I want to talk about some of the ways that we can master the art of listening, which is through active listening. So if we're using active listening during a heated discussion, it can help the outcome. Active listening is when you are tuned in solely into another person for the purpose of seeking to understand what they're saying. So your concentration is completely on that other person's conversation, what they are saying. Listening is a critical skill when it comes to resolving conflicts. It's not just about the words that the person is saying, it's about understanding the emotions and the intentions behind it. That's why I don't get it why people on social media, sometimes I've seen them go on these long tirades, and I'm thinking this is not going to resolve the conflict because you can't get the emotions, you can't get the intentions because it's all through words. There's no speech happening here. So social media texting is not the best way to have a discussion or to resolve, certainly to resolve an argument. There are common barriers that happen and that hinder the effective or the active listening during a heated conversation or an argument, like being defensive, or when one person has the overwhelming desire to prove that their point is what's right, and their whole thought is that I want to win this argument. I'm learning this, that there are people that are just argumentative, regardless what's going on, regardless what's said. They wake up in the morning, they will argue with the neighbor, they'll argue with the cat, they'll argue with the dog, they'll argue with the waiter or the waitress. They just are argumentative. And I realize that people that do this, they have a lot of fear in their life, and they use that fear to cause them to be argumentative. I don't know. This is what I don't know. I don't know if they are consciously aware of their argumentative style, or if they've perhaps grown up in an environment, in an atmosphere where that was what was happening and this is what they know, or if they care. I don't know. I remember seeing something on Facebook. It was funny and it was crazy at the same time. So there was, it's in a parking lot, an outside parking lot, which was probably at a grocery store. And there's these two cars that have come to a standstill in the parking lot. Their cars are running. The individuals are sitting in the car behind the steering wheel, and they're at a standstill. As they continue this standstill, they decide to get out of the car. They get out of the car, and of course, the argument ensues. I was here first. No, I was here first. I had my signal light on. You didn't have your signal on, and it just goes back and forth. And you can just imagine how it was going, right? Nowhere. They were not aware, cognizant of the fact that they were blocking traffic. Or I don't know if that was even a focus. Well, no, it wasn't a focus for them because their focus was two people to get into one parking space. When you really think about that, it's crazy. So this goes on for a bit. There is a person that comes out of the store and they want to leave the parking lot. They see that these two cars are at a standoff, and so they go over and say, I want to leave. I'm trying to back out, but I can't because you are blocking me from leaving. And the two individuals, they keep the argument going. The person that wants to get out says, okay, guys, here we go. I'm going to leave my parking space. Car on the right, you can take my parking space. Car on the left, you can take this parking space. So the two of them, kind of stomp off, get back into their car. The individual backs out, car on the left, drives in, gets the parking space. Car on the right, drives in, gets the parking space. Now it's been resolved. I'm not sure what happened after the fact, but it was just so interesting to see that these two individuals were so set on being right and getting that parking space. So they both had a mindset of, I'm going to win. There are some barriers to active listening during an argument. Listening is not always easy. It is not. There are times when I hear what the other person is saying, but I've already decided that they're wrong and I'm right. Notice I said I hear. I'm not actively listening. I just hear the other person talking, but I have already decided that I'm going to be right. The problem that many people face is that instead of listening to understand, they are waiting to talk because in their mind, they're going to win that conversation. They believe that they're right. It's not about being right. That should not be the purpose of the outcome, is to be right. It should be about seeking an understanding, resolving something, keeping a friendship, relationship intact, right? But when we are talking about the practical tips of improving our effective listening, we have to start with an open mind. We have to be willing to listen. We have to give the other person a chance to engage in the discussion because this can be very valuable. Active listening is when we are tuned into the other person for the sole purpose of seeking to understand. You've seen it, I've seen it. Those conversations where two people are in an argument, heated discussion. One person is talking, then the other person starts to talk, and the person that is already talked is now interrupting the other individual. And it's like, no, give this person an opportunity to say what they need to say. Don't be rude and don't interrupt them. That's just rude. Or sometimes in a heated discussion, what will happen is that somebody will say, you know what? That's a good point. And so at that time, this is where we come to agree to disagree. The best way and the best technique that I can offer you for listening is called the active listening, which causes you to be fully concentrated on what the other person is saying without interrupting or formulating your own response before the conversation is over. This is what I want you to take from this video. Acknowledge that listening is not always easy to accomplish. It's just not. And when you are in the midst of, or when you are in a heated discussion, an argument, go in with an open mind. It starts with active listening. So it's not just about hearing the person's words, it's about understanding the emotions and the intention behind it. Give the other person a chance to engage in the discussion without interrupting them. And you may get to a point where you say, okay, let's agree to disagree. Or you say, let's table this and revisit it later. Enjoy.